Who got paid big money in the Epstein apparent suicide? Who's going to take the fall for all of this? Who's going to be the scapegoat? A frontline officer, a lieutenant, a warden? Who are they going to make the scapegoat for this apparent suicide? There's also a new wrinkle in this suicide or apparent suicide with Epstein. He was not on suicide watch, the latest reports are saying. If so, this is very fishy to me. Hi, I'm Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe if you like this video. Let me quote from this. This is a Blue Lives Matter report. Epstein wasn't on suicide watch despite apparent prior suicide attempt. The convicted pedophile and billionaire Jeffrey Epstein was discovered nearly unresponsive in his jail cell Saturday morning, and officials are saying that he was not on suicide watch. So I'm not going to read any more from the news. You've been hearing it all morning. Let's talk about some conspiracy theories. I am really not into conspiracy theories, but I can tell you one thing. Something's very wrong with this picture. And if any of you out there agree, please let me know. And if you don't agree, please let me know. Because the FBI are now in for the investigation. So the world is saved. They're going to figure it all out and we'll have answers soon, right? I don't know. I don't know about that. You know, many times outsiders come in to investigate, and that's a good thing in cases like this. But they do need to have some correctional background or some knowledge. Yes, they're experienced investigators. I know that. And they can do it. But it sure does help to know the works and the operations and how the inside of the prison works. So hopefully they send some FBI agents that have some prison savvy. But here's my question. How in the world do you let a high-profile inmate such as Epstein, who had suicide attempt, a prior suicide attempt, how do you not have him on suicide watch? Well, there's several ways you don't. You have to get a psychologist or a mental health professional to say that he no longer needs to be on suicide watch. So, I'm sure this happened or else he would be on suicide watch. So, who got paid? How did he get cleared that he did not have to be on suicide watch any longer? Was it a correctional psychologist who made the decision? Or was it an outside psychologist or mental health professional? Remember, you know, when you're in jail, you can have outside appointments with mental health people. You know, many times when people go to court, they're not only seen by the jail or the prison psychologist, they're seen by their own psychologists on the outside or 2 or 3 private practice psychologists. It happens all the time. So I'm very curious to see who signed the paper that cleared him to be off suicide watch and who would have to be involved in that. Does it start at the lieutenant? Does it start at the major? Does it start at the warden? Of course, the mental health person, you'd have to have his signature for it to be signed and cleared. So this is something that I'm very curious to see. Are there any inmates involved? Maybe, you know, we don't know. You do have orderlies that bring his food to him and things like that. And of course, there's just the regular issue that we can deal with when we deal with suicide. If an inmate wants to kill him or herself badly enough, they will find a way. And, you know, it only takes a little while or a few seconds and it can be done. So if an inmate is serious about suicide and not just crying for help, it can be done. So, you know, that could be the case, but it just doesn't seem that way. I think we're going to have a little more going on in this case. But now, let's get to the point of who goes down for this. Who's going to be the scapegoat? Is it going to be the poor frontline correctional officer? And they're going to say he or she did not make their rounds? Maybe they didn't. Maybe they did. I hope they did. Because, you know, they're going to take every document that was done, every piece of paper from the correctional officers, rounds and security checks and feeding and everything, every note will be scrutinized. And if there's 1 minute off, 1 minute late, will they use that for their scapegoat and terminate some officer on the front line and say, we're very sorry about Mr. Epstein's death. It was the officer's fault. The officer, hasn't been here that long. The officer is pretty new to the job. And, I hate to say it because sometimes we need the most experience on high-profile inmates like this, but sometimes they don't do that. So there's going to be a lot of excuses, a lot of reasons. I don't know if there's video where he was housed. Let's hope that there was video where he was housed. I think I saw here, and I have to reach over to get it. I think he was housed in Tier 3. I saw that somewhere, but it's not in. Here it is. CNBC reports that the FBI is now investigating the 66-year-old Tier 3 sex offender's suicide, in his cell Saturday morning today. So they're investigating that. So we're going to see how many officers were assigned to Tier 3. What are the policies and procedures of the agency? Are they running 10-minute checks, 15-minute checks, 30-minute checks? I would imagine in Tier 3, a sex offender's area, that there would be pretty periodic and maybe 10, 15-minute checks. I could be wrong. Depends on your agency and their policies. We won't have a lot of tears over this. There's not a lot of people having tears over this. I mean, some of his victims were as young as 14 years of age. We all know that story, and we all know how he came to be in this jail cell. But today's topic that I'm talking about is what happened. How did he get off suicide watch? Now, I personally, if I was a jail administrator or a prison administrator and I had this high-profile inmate in there, I would want to take extra precautions. I would want to get him in a cell with a camera where we always have a visual on him, where maybe if you don't want to do a one-on-one would be the best. But I know we can't do this forever and ever and ever. There's these staff shortage issues. But the camera could be placed in the control room where officers or where the control room officer is sitting, and they can always have an eye on Epstein. Was there a camera in his cell? I don't know. I'm not there. I'm just throwing out some possibilities. But I don't like the way this looks. I mean, he's a billionaire. How much money could he possibly have in his account? Who could have gotten paid off? Normally, I'm not a big conspiracy theory person, as I said earlier, but this one, I have my wonders. And now, folks, we also have to think, how many billionaires, millionaires, famous people are out there on the street that were just shivering knowing that he is in behind bars, knowing what he knows, and would he tell on them? How many visitors did he have to his island? How many people participated in this pedophilia and underage girls and things like that? There's a lot out there. I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to make false accusations against anybody. I have a lot of names in my head right now. You're probably reading my mind as we speak on who those people could be. Politicians, movie stars, millionaires, real estate millionaires. There's a lot of people, a lot of people's lives at stake right now. Now, here's what I hope. I hope that because he took his life, we don't just stop and we're done. I hope they continue to search for other people involved in with these young girls. And I hope that this just makes them investigate harder. I have some worries. I have some worries. I did 38 years in the government, 28 years in corrections, and 10 years in the military. The government was good to me. The government gave me a good life and a good career and a good retirement. But I am worried, folks, that this is so high up in the political, movie star world and other places that people are going to not see things. They're going to investigate with tunnel vision. And I'm worried that justice will not be done. We cannot stop with Epstein, in my opinion. Please continue the investigation and let's catch the rest of these pedophiles. Let's catch the people who allegedly, I'm alleging, possibly, were paid off in this Epstein death. You know, Epstein knew too much. Epstein being alive was a danger to many, many criminals, many, many pedophiles, many, many child molesters, sick people that need to be right behind the bars with Epstein. So let's see how this plays out. Let me know what you think, what your theory is on this. What's your conspiracy theory? I don't like playing conspiracy theory, but this is going to be a big mess. And let's hope and pray that the FBI does a great job and does it right this time. And let's hope the FBI doesn't have any visits from billionaires. I'll just leave it at that. Saying, let's talk about this investigation. Please, please, let's don't let that not happen. Because I don't want to lose faith in our justice system. But it's starting to crumble. Let's get things on the ball and let's get it right. And let's do this investigation correctly and let's catch the rest of those people. Thank you. I'm Gary York, True Prison Stories. Thanks for watching.